Hello and welcome to the Marin Map Ortho Photo Download Application Instructional video. In today's video, I'm going to walk through some general functionality of the Ortho Photo Download application and how you can utilize it to download orthophoto images from the county aerial imagery. To begin, you will see the Orthophoto Download How-To pop-up when you enter the application. This pop-up is going to describe at a smaller level basically everything I'm going to go through in today's video. It just gives you some general overview on how to utilize the search and the lists and how to actually download the imagery from the application we're going to go through. So I'll exit out of that how-to menu and begin walking through the application. To start, I'm going to go through some of the general map tools that are included with the application. So at the top left-hand side of the map here, we've got a plus and minus button. That's a zoom in and a zoom out button. So if I hit the plus, it'll zoom me in. If I hit the minus, it will zoom me back out. That's also achievable by utilizing the mouse wheel on your mouse, or you can utilize keyboard controls on your keyboard to do the same thing. There's also a home button here, a home icon, which is the default map view. So if I have zoomed into a specific location on the map and I want to get back out to that home default view when the application loads, I can just click that default map view button and that will bring me back out to the location of the map when it loads. Then below that default map view button, we have got the Find My Location button. And this is not going to be that important for people utilizing this application in desktop format on a browser on their computer. But if this application is being accessed via a mobile device, you can tap this Find My Location button and the map will zoom directly to your live location on the map. So if you're somewhere within Marin County and you want to find where you are and download the aerial image for that location, you can tap that Find My Location button and it will bring you directly to your live location, and you can select that photo grid in that area and download the aerial for your area that you're currently in. Next, I will discuss the search bar, which can be found here at the top of the application in the map view. This search bar can be used to search by addresses or the photo grid. In my example here, I'm going to show the photo grid search. So I'm going to deselect address search, and then I'm going to see the text in the search bar update to give me an example of what I can search for, to search by these tile numbers that you're seeing in purple on the map. So I'll use this example of Marin_139. And you can see that returned the Marin_139 photo grid. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And it's going to highlight it on the map and it's going to zoom me directly to that photo grid. And then I can click that photo grid to view that photo grid's pop-up. And in that pop-up, I'm going to see that tile ID that I searched for in the search menu. And I'm going to see this download ortho link in the pop-up, which is going to allow me to download that photo. And I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to do that in another portion of my demo so you can see how that download actually works and where you can access the download once it does download. So to continue my demo, I'll just exit out of this pop-up. I'll remove my search, and then I'll go back to my default map extent here. Next, I'm going to discuss some of the tools available to us in the header menu. They can all be found up at the top right-hand side of the application here where my cursor currently is. And I'll just start from left to right and work my way through these map tools. The first one we'll see is the map legend. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And the map legend is just going to show us which layers are currently turned on in the map. So As you can see, once I've selected Map Legend, we're only seeing the 2018 Ortho Photo Grid layer, which is this pink-purple layer we're seeing on the map. If I were to turn on more layers in the layer list widget that I'm going to go through next, those layers that are active on the map would display in this Map Legend. So it's, again, only going to show us those layers that are currently active in the map. Go ahead and close that out. And then I'll go to the Map Layers widget. And the Map Layers widget is where you can control which layers are visible on the map. I'll use the example here in the Basemap group. We have the ability to turn on city boundaries and community boundaries just as a reference layer. And then as we get in closer extent-wise, we can turn on the elevation contours, and those will start to display at different map extents just as a reference for us. And they're loading a little bit slowly, but they're showing up. So you'll see some of these layers are grayed out, which means they're only visible at specific map extents. So with the elevation contour, it's designed to turn on at different map extents for different elevation contour measurements. So that's one thing to note here with those grayed out layers. And then another thing to note in the map layers list is there are grouped layers. So you can turn on entire groups of layers by turning on and off that group, as you can see here with elevation contour. And then there's that same thing with the Basemap group, because there's these sub layers within it. We can turn off all those layers at one time just by selecting that group layer. Some other functionality we can utilize in the Map Layers tool is to change transparency. So if you want to see some of these reference layers, but they're a little bit too busy for you, and you don't want to see them at their full transparency, you can update that so they're a little bit more transparent. And as you can see on the slider menu, as I change the transparency, that contour layer is getting a little bit lighter and then getting a little bit more vibrant as I get back to 0%. So just an added tool there to kind of customize what you're seeing on the map. And then one last thing to note with the Map Layers tool is that you do have the ability to search for a specific layer. There's not many layers in here, but I did include the search ability. So if you want to find contours, you can type that in and it will get rid of all of the rest of the reference layers, and you can get directly to that elevation contour layer if you need to. Turn it on or off. I'll go ahead and remove that search, and then we'll see all of the layers visible here again. I'm going to exit out of the map layers, and next I'm going to go to the photo grid download list. And this list has been added to this application for some extra accessibility for users that might be utilizing this application via keyboard. This download list is going to show every single one of these ortho grid layers. And we can maneuver this list by scrolling down in the list or utilizing our keyboard to maneuver through all of these different tiles of photos. And I'm going to pop back over to the map layers and turn off those Basemap reference layers to make this demo a little bit smoother. So within this photo grid download list, we have the ability to search for a specific tile ID, just like we did up here in the search menu. So if there is a specific tile ID you'd like to get to within the list, you can type that in and maneuver directly to that. So again, I'll just go to Marin_139 and I'll select that, and it's going to filter out all of those tiles, show only that one that I've searched for, and then I can just select that tile in the list, and it's going to zoom me directly to that tile. And then I don't have to click the map to view the pop-up to run the download. So I can do that from this button right here in the download list. And here's where I'll walk through how that download works. So to download the image for the grid tile that you are viewing, you can click the Download Ortho button, and that's going to start downloading a TIFF file directly to your downloads folder. And this one's going to load a little bit slowly because it's a pretty large photo, but I have already downloaded a smaller photo to show you in the demo. It's just going to show up as a zip file in your downloads, and you can go ahead and just click on that download and it will show you that TIFF file along with some other reference files that come along with that TIFF. And you can double click that TIFF and you can see this is a smaller aerial, so it's just getting a tip of the county here, but in that download file you will have the TIFF image, and it is georeferenced, so it can be pulled directly into ArcGIS format. So very simplistic to download an image. As you can see, the one that I've selected here from the download list is still loading. This search bar or this loading bar is only about halfway. It does take a little bit of time to download for some of these fully included grid sections here. And then I can just hit that X button in the search feature of the photo grid download list, and that will return me to my full list. And I can select different grids as I'd like, and it will pop the map directly to those locations as I select in that list. So I'm going to close out of there. And next I'm going to go to the Basemap gallery tool. This is a very simplistic tool. This is just a tool that will control the underlying base map that shows beneath the aerial imagery and then any of these reference layers that are shown on the application. So if I want to change the base map away from this grayish color here behind, I can go ahead and do that. I can select a community map or a blueprint or any of these pre-configured underlying base maps. I'm going to just go back to the default of light gray canvas because that shows everything a little bit better. But all you need to do to change the base map is select your base map of choice, and it will update that underlying base map beneath the layers. The next tool I'd like to go over is the measurement tool. So I'll just click in there. And within the measurement tool, we've got the ability to measure distances or measure areas. To measure a distance, you can just go ahead and select that measure distance option. And I'll zoom into a specific grid here. And for my example, I'm just going to measure the length of the top portion of this grid. You can see as I hovered over that grid, I've got the ability to select it with the measurement tool. So it will snap to a vertex. And then it will also follow a line feature here as well. And you can see once I've hovered over the top right portion of this grid, I've got a little snap to the vertex there. I'm going to just double click to finish that measurement. And as you can see, I've measured the top portion of that photo grid, and it is 1.14 miles between the top left and top right portion of that photo grid segment. The unit for measurement of lines is going to default to imperial. And what imperial means is at a small enough measurement, it's going to default to feet. And then once you get, I believe, over 1,000 feet of measurement, it will update to miles. So this is a long enough segment that it changed to miles for my measurement unit. But that unit can be changed. Once you've finished your measurement, you can utilize this drop-down menu to change your measurement unit to whatever you would like from these options. So if I want to view that measurement in feet, I'll just click feet, and now you can see my distance has updated to feet on the measurement tool and on the label on the map here. And then to begin a new measurement, I would just click new measurement, but I'm going to clear this measurement. So I'm just going to click clear measurement. And I'm going to show you how to measure an area next. So I'll select this measure area icon here within the measurement tool. And again, I start to measure just by selecting a location on the map. So instead of measuring just the distance between the top left and top right part of this grid, I'm going to measure the area of the entire grid. So I'm going to just click here at the top left, I'll click again at that bottom left vertex, and then I'll click again here. And then at the top right, I'll double click to finish my measurement. And you can see here that my measurement has completed because it's showing an area. Again, that measurement unit is going to default to imperial, which is going to show square feet at a small enough measurement, and then default to square miles once that measurement area gets large enough. I believe it's once you get over 10,000 square feet in your measurement, it will then jump up to square miles. It will also show you the perimeter of your measurement. So the entire perimeter of this photo grid is 3.79 miles. And again, if I would like to change my measurement unit to, let's say, we'll go with square meters, it's updated to square meters, and then my perimeter will also change to a total measurement of the meters around my area measurement. If I wanted to start a new area measurement, I could click New Measurement, and it would remove this old measurement and start my new one, or I can just click Clear Measurement and it will completely remove me from the tool, and I would have to click New Measurement again to start a new measurement. So I will close out of that. And next I will talk about the Print tool. So I'll click into that. The Print tool is a fairly basic tool here which can be used to print out a representation of what you're seeing currently on the application. So to start, we've got a drop-down list here of map templates. It's going to be labeled as the size and then the layout. So A3 is a paper size, and then landscape is going to show me a wider printout, and then A3 portrait will be the same measurement, but it will be in portrait mode. And then same thing as you continue down the list here. Or you have the ability to just print out the map that you're currently seeing here. I'll just leave this as the default of A3 landscape, and then I'll change my title to Ortho Photo Download Test. And once I've changed my title to my printout, I can select this down arrow, this expand arrow, to set some more advanced options with my print. So I'll keep this print extent at current map extent, and that will show this entire extent of the map that I'm currently viewing in the application. For author, I will just say Marin Map Test. And for a copyright, I'll add the same. The author and copyright can be updated to read whatever you'd like for text that would be included on your printout. It'll just show up at the bottom right-hand side of your print once it prints. I will include a legend so we know what we're looking at on my printout. That'll just show me a legend of the layers that are visible on the map. I'll also include a north arrow and a scale bar unit. We'll keep that at miles. This is a large enough extent that it will be good to keep it at miles, but you do have the ability to change that to kilometers, meters, or feet. And then we'll leave that default print quality at 96 dpi, and we'll go ahead and choose print. And one thing that can be a little confusing with the print tool is that once you click print, a lot of people are confused as to where their print goes. But within this print tool, you can see there's a results menu. So I'll click into results, and that's going to show me my print that I just created. So I'll click that print. And here we have the printout of what I've just chosen to print from the application. It's got my current extent, that legend that I turned on. It's got a timestamp of when I printed it, my scale bar, a north arrow, a little bit of reference information here as to what's being shown on the map. And then here's where that author and copyright are showing up that I set. So if you have some notes that you need to denote in this printout, you can add those to either one of those fields and it will show up at the bottom right hand side of your printout here. And then my title showing up at the top, as you can see. And this will just open up your printout in a new browser tab, but you can right click your image and save that image as whatever you'd like. You can save it out to whatever format you'd like, whether that be PDF or TIFF or whatever you're going to need to save that image out as. Or you can copy the image and embed it into an email or something like that if you just need a quick reference to send over to someone in your organization or someone that needs to see what you're looking at here in the application. So again, pretty basic print functionality, but it can be helpful just for sharing some reference to these applications. I'm going to go ahead and close out of the print menu and go to the share menu. Again, pretty basic tool here. It just gives you a short link URL that if you want to share this application with someone via a chat or an email or any way that you might want to share this link, you can copy that link directly by clicking this copy button, or you can utilize any of these other share tools to share it directly in these other applications. Or you can create a QR code if you want to embed a QR code to this application in some sort of pamphlet or something like that. You can do that by clicking into those icons at the bottom of the share tool here. Next, we have got the photo download table here. And in this download table, we have the ability to view different layers that are showing on the map. So it's going to default to the orthophoto grid. And within this table, we can select a tile ID for those grids and it will zoom you directly to that tile on the map. I selected it here and it zoomed me to it on the map in the background. We have the ability to search for a tile ID in here. If you want to find a tile ID that way, select it in the table and then zoom to it on the map. And then if you select this drop-down menu within the download table, you can select from the different layers that are available on the application. So I'll go ahead and click city. This is from that city reference layer. And if for whatever reason you want to go directly to a city, you can select that here in the table and it will zoom you directly to that city boundary. So you can see I selected Mill Valley and it has zoomed me on the map to the entire extent of the city of Mill Valley's boundaries. So if you want to zoom directly to a city or community, you can select that in the table and it will zoom you to that area where you can then look at the different photo grids available within that area on the map. The table also allows for some other functionality. You can show only your selection. So if you've got a record selected in the current table you're viewing, you can choose that show selection to show only your selected table record. You can return to show all table records by just re-clicking that button. You can also clear your selection by clicking clear selection here, and that will zoom you back out to the full extent of the map behind the table there. You can also show and hide columns. This gives you the ability to show only specific columns within each layer that you're viewing in the table. So if I wanted to come into the city layer and just show the city name, I could click just the city name, and then I can add proper name and acres back by just selecting those with the checkboxes there. And then lastly, you can set a filter. So if I wanted to see only city name equal to Fairfax, I can go ahead and turn on that filter and filter the table to show only that filtered data. I'm going to delete that filter. And then finally, we do have the ability to export to CSV. So if for whatever reason there's a layer in this application that you'd like to get in spreadsheet format, you have the ability to export that layer to CSV and view it in spreadsheet format. And one thing to note with that export is that if you do have a filter set on the data, like I just showed, is available to you within this set filter tool, that filter will export to the spreadsheet format when you export it. So it's powerful, but it's something to be aware of, that if you want to export the entirety of the layer and not your filtered view. You'll just have to remove that filter before you export out to CSV. I'll go ahead and exit the download table here and show my last tool to go through. And this is just a link out to that orthophoto download how-to information. Again, if you forget some things that I've walked through in this video, you can select that information widget up at the top right-hand side to get you to this help menu. It will walk you through some of the capabilities of this application. And then at the very bottom, there is a link back to that data download table. That's just for some added accessibility purposes to make it a little easier to maneuver this application for those who might be viewing it via a keyboard function. So with that, that's all I have for the walkthrough video today. I hope you found this video helpful and you're excited to get started utilizing the orthophoto download application. Thank you.